Hello everyone, welcome. Can you hear me okay? Good deal. Alright, welcome to Identity Theft, sponsored by Four Seasons Wealth Management University. The one thing I will say here is we have Tom Kerns, who I'm going to introduce in a second, and he brought us a first tonight at Four Seasons. He has tested our tech abilities by bringing in some beautiful videos here for you tonight. So my disclaimer is I am not an IT guy. If this doesn't work, don't worry. He's got all the information in his head. But many of you have attended these Four Seasons Wealth Management University events before. I'd say 80-85% of the folks here in the audience are clients. The remaining amount are folks that are kind of interviewing us and kicking the tires. But for those of you that are clients, you know that we have a lot of events throughout the year where we have a full dinner, the wine and beer, and they're beautiful events. Those are exclusively for clients. And we have events like this where certainly there is no full buffet and open bar, but we bring in some great topics and great speakers. At the beginning of the year, when all the partners of the firm, again, my name is Travis Freeman, I'm one of the partners, there are 8 of us that run the firm, we were all sitting around a table and talking about what kind of topics we want to bring to you for these events. And we came up with identity theft. And I said, I'll go ahead and sponsor the ID theft program. So I've told a few of you this story already. I called up the FBI, because we've done some work with some of their agents on ID theft before. And I said, hey, we have this program, we'd love to get one of your speakers. And the agent told me, she said, you don't want us. You want the U.S. Postal Inspector's office. And I said, ma'am, no offense, but why am I calling the post office? She said, well, you're not calling the post office, you're calling the U.S. Postal Inspector's office because they handle more ID theft cases than us and the CIA combined. Wow. Little did I know. Eventually, they connected us with Tom Kerns. He is with the Postal Inspector's office. He carries a badge. Maybe they just haven't made a TV show about him quite yet, but he does the same sort of thing. He has some tremendous credentials. I'm actually going to let him do a little bit of his intro and tell you about himself, but we think you all really enjoy the program tonight. Real quickly, I'd like just to announce some of the partners of the firm that are here tonight. If you could just stand and be recognized real quick. We have Kevin Grelly. Who else do we have here? Daniel Klein is in here. Very good. That's right, you can clap for him. There you go. And the rest of the folks could not be here tonight, but again, we appreciate you being here. I'm going to go ahead and let Kevin Grelly come up on stage for a second, tell you about our next program, and then Tom, that'll be your time to go ahead and start the show.
Very good. Thank you, Travis. Once again, on behalf of everyone at Four Seasons Wealth Management, I want to thank you for all coming this evening. I'm just going to take a quick 30 seconds here. Travis was in charge of developing this particular workshop this evening. There's going to be one more before the year ends. That's going to be on November the 12th, and that'll be the last one of the year. I'm going to be in charge of organizing that one, and the title for that one is going to be Aging and Its Financial Implications. Now, you may say, well, gee, that sounds kind of depressing. Well, it's really not. I'm going to finalize everything on Monday, and it's really, instead of talking about the depressing aging process, it's about how to enhance and get the most out of your life in retirement. So once again, that's November the 12th. We hope you all can make it, and you're going to just love this presentation tonight. Thank you.
All right, good evening. How you all doing? All right, you said my name is Tom Kerns. I'm with the United States Postal Inspection Service. I know a couple of you know what I do, but how many of you have ever heard of the Postal Inspection Service before? So it's a pretty good hand. We're a federal law enforcement agency. We're actually one of the oldest federal law enforcement agencies in the country today. We've been around for well over 200 years. And you probably know who the first postal inspector was, right? Think about it. Who do you think it was? Anybody? There you go, Benjamin Franklin. Good answer. But anyway, over the years, we're responsible for over 200 federal statutes. Okay, now my experience in law enforcement is I grew up in this area over in St. Charles. I was a local police officer, went through the ranks with the local police department, was a commander. I left after about 13 and a half years, got a federal appointment. I said I can't pass that up, get a retirement after 20. I've been with the inspection service going on 19 years. My job title is I'm a supervisory special agent. I run what we call a violent crime team. And what we are responsible for is basically burglaries, robberies, assaults, threats. But with either post offices, postal employees, government employees, or anything that the local PD would like for us to get involved in. Okay, and being an independent law enforcement agency, we get involved in a lot more stuff than just post office. But nevertheless, one of the other assignments that my team has, we operate and run 2 financial crimes task forces in the area. One is through the Eastern District of Missouri, and the other one is through the Southern District of Illinois. I have about 12 agents that work for me, that we also task these task forces with local PDs, local detectives. So we're very proactive on this. And my experience prior to being a postal inspector, being a local PD, I worked about 8 years with the major case squad. So understanding that working on more crimes against persons and coming over to the white collar fraud unit, I was kind of like, this is almost kind of boring. I'm just looking at papers. I'm just chasing down credit card people. I was pretty wrong. I had just as much fun. In 1999, here in the St. Louis area, identity theft took off rapidly. And Department of Justice had tasked us in the U.S. Attorney's Office to form what they call an identity theft task force. So we did that through the Eastern District of Missouri with the Department of Justice. And we basically had FBI, we had Social Security Administration, we had us, we had Secret Service. We also had several local police departments who assigned detectives to the task force. They stayed with us until 2009 when the economy hit and they couldn't afford to keep the officers on the task force. So they worked with us on a case-by-case basis. But what I can tell you in St. Louis, in this area, is I didn't realize how rapid identity theft really was. In 1999, when we first started the case, we had over 275 cases we worked at. And most of these cases that we worked, had multiple suspects. And they were really organized crimes that are on the street that most people don't even hear about. We had gang members coming from New York and Atlanta, Georgia, Washington, D.C., Chicago, and Memphis coming into St. Louis, committing identity theft, and then heading out and going back to their states and their homes. So we said, we can do that too. So one of our cases we worked actually involved about 18 individuals out of New York and Washington, D.C. and Atlanta, Georgia. They were responsible for over $7 million in losses to the St. Louis area. We had no idea what to do with it. It was one of the first big cases that we had in St. Louis at the time. So when they came here, we were able to identify them. They would kind of do it the old-fashioned way that we call law enforcement, like the drug way. Basically, they always had a middleman. The technology back then was not like it is today. So they had somebody making their IDs for them. They had somebody helping them making Social Security cards for them. So all these things were counterfeited, but they had to pay these people for making their products so they could go out and commit fraud and get loans and stuff. So we arrested a couple of them. We were able to get them to work for us, and we were buying them undercover capacity as well. So we went to them. We went to New York, we went to D.C., we went to Georgia, we did search warrants at their houses, so we figured they're going to come here, we go there. And the Department of Justice was kind enough to pay our way to say, let's go get them, and not just let them stay back in their state. So we did a lot of traveling and a lot of search warrants. And so understanding that identity theft is just not in your neck of the woods, it's very mobile, okay? Now we fast forward to today, what do you see? What have we seen in the paper this past year and a half? Data breaches, schnooks. I think today they just came out with UPS, some of their stores had been compromised. Target. I mean, your information is everywhere. And we'll get into a little bit more of that in a little while. But if you stop and think while you watch this short film, just think about where your information is on a daily basis and who has access to it. And you'll go, wow, this is really mind-boggling. I didn't realize that my name's all the way out here all the time. Okay. So fast forwarding today, not only do we have it in America, but what else do we have? We have Russia, we have Germany, we have Nigeria. Okay, big hotbeds for fraud. St. Louis has never been a real big hotbed for fraud starting here. We've had a lot of fraud here, because we're Midwest. They don't think that we're going to follow through with a lot of our cases, and they stay away from some of the bigger cities because they have more manpower. But now, everybody's online, you can get anything you want, and your information can go anywhere in the world. So, in the meantime, we're going to show this video. Just kind of keep those thoughts in mind, and when we get done, we'll talk a little bit more.
All right, the moment of truth here. Y'all can hear that real well, right?
I'll get it. Hello? Hey, Joyce. Any word yet? What? I don't understand. What credit cards? Getting credit cards we don't know about? No. But we never even got a past due notice. Maryland? No, there has to be some sort of mistake. We don't even live there. Can we get a copy of the credit report or what? It's not our address. Well, who should I talk to? I understand, but what? And the bank? What about the loan? All right. Okay. Thanks for calling.
Well, what did she say?
They apparently can't approve the loan for the new house. They said we've got 3 delinquent credit cards.
Well, that's impossible. We only have the Markins and...
It's not even our address. They're billed to an address in Maryland.
Maryland?
No, it's crazy.
What about the house?
I gotta get me one of these. Oh yeah, it's nice, right? I picked it up last week. It's amazing what you can do with good credit. Then check this out. I paid this guy like $500 to give me system access to the ISP.
Yeah, run that by me again in English.
It's simple. Look, I got like thousands of email accounts that I got access to. Right? I can see people's personal stuff that they get without them knowing it. See this mailbox here? That's this guy named Patterson. Patterson lives over in Wildwood. Oh, he just sent out a file. You know what that is? That is a copy of last year's tax return that Senor Patterson was sending to his real estate agent. Dude, we just take the names and the social security numbers, open up a couple credit cards in his name, boom!
Will they catch on?
No, man, no. Even if they do, it'll be long after you got a pinball machine in your crib. Sweet.
What can I do?
Help out with the shopping spree. Keep what we want, pawn the rest. I love computers.
We need to stop hitting the mailboxes before somebody gets smart.
It's no sweat. You know my new girl, Mandy? She works in payroll at this big place over in Adamsburg. She's gonna start hooking us up with employment applications, all kinds of stuff from over there.
Ain't you gotta know we're up to something?
I told her I needed the info for this telemarketing thing I'm doing. Said it would increase my commissions if I got new names for the list. Maybe, if they don't want to buy it, they can just hang up.
Sweet.
I told her we only wanted applications from the people they didn't hire. Right? That way, no way it comes back on us.
You think she's cool, huh?
Hell yeah, man. She's got a kid and stuff. She don't care where the free dinners are coming from as long as they keep coming.
That's brutal.
Speak of the devil, there's my baby.
Hi, can I help you?
Yeah, hi, I'm Postal Inspector Alan Goddard. Looking for Mandy Richards.
This is Mandy.
Hi, Mandy Richards?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Postal Inspector Alan Goddard. This is my partner, Inspector Nice. Is there someplace we can talk in private?
I guess we can go into the break room.
Yeah, that'd be fine. You recognize this man?
Yeah, that's my boyfriend, Nick. He's in some kind of trouble. You're both in trouble, Mandy. You want to tell us about the employment applications you've been giving him? He's been using those to do some telemarketing.
Tell me he's been telling me. What if I told you he's been using them illegally? And he's running a mail fraud scam? And what if I told you that makes you an accessory to a federal crime?
Look, I don't know anything about that. Your boyfriend slipped up, Mandy. He bought a car a few weeks ago on someone else's credit. And then he turned around and sold it for some quick cash. But he forgot to clean it up first. Guess what we found under the seat? It didn't take long to figure out where he got it. I swear, I didn't know. He said no one was going to get in trouble.
Mandy, we believe you. But I'm not sure a jury will. Why don't you help us?
Look, I didn't know. I swear I cannot go to jail. Be smart, Mandy. We can't promise anything. We'll tell the U.S. attorney you cooperated. If you help us with Nick.
What's up?
Don't come up here with all that baby stuff. You've been playing with me.
What's talking about, girl? What's right with you?
You keep telling me you're using these for telemarketing leads. When you get a new car every couple of months, you went from one nice place to the other. You don't make that kind of cash shopping all the time.
Baby, I told you it's all commission. Yeah, plus we got that computer thing going. There's those websites. Come here.
What kind of fool do you think I am? I'm not going to risk my job so you can go spend the money on some other trip.
Baby, it's not like that.
Look, I got a kid to think about. And until you cut me in for some of the money, you can forget about these applications.
Mandy, you know I ain't got no other woman. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I ain't got, there's no scam.
Hey man, what you got all day?
Yeah, me, Daryl, in church.
All right, look, we got a little thing going, okay? It's no big deal. We're just opening some credit card accounts in these folks' names. Pop them for a few grand at a time. Listen, baby, the credit card company's covering the money. Nobody's getting hurt.
You're crazy. I could go to jail for helping with this stuff. Who's going to take care of my little girl then?
No, listen, baby, I'm telling you, it's nothing. It's like we max out these credit cards, right? And then we keep paying the minimum on the bill. Nobody ever suspects a thing. Now listen, I've been taking care of you, right? What do you think's been paying for all these nice cars and stuff, huh?
I'm risking my neck. You're going to cut me in for some of the drink too.
No. All right, look, I'll have to ask Daryl about it. He's not gonna like bringing anybody in.
I suspect in the car Daryl Henderson has priors for against Jones.
I said we'll see, all right? Now I need those names, or
Got one of those credit cards on you? Give me one. Then you'll buy my baby's clothes. That's the least you can do. We'll talk about everything else later.
all right, whatever. Now don't go crazy with that. Don't shop anywhere people know you, and don't say a word to Daryl about this. We cool? Are we cool?
Yeah, we're cool.
serving time in a federal prison right now, and Mandy lost her job. Unfortunately for the Pattersons, it took several months and hundreds of dollars in legal fees to clean up their credit reports and clear their good name. In the meantime, their dream home was sold to another buyer, and they're still struggling to repair all the damage done by these crooks. The really sad thing is that it might have been prevented by following 4 simple steps. First of all, deposit all outgoing mail in a blue postal collection box, rather than using a residential mailbox. In some parts of the country, theft from residential mailboxes is a real problem. Second, shred or burn all unwanted pre-approved credit applications and financial statements, old credit cards, and other documents. Thieves often will go through trash containers or even dumpsters to find these items and use them to steal your identity. Third, once a year, order a copy of your own credit report, especially before making large purchases like a new home or car. Check it carefully for any activity that you did not authorize. Also, check for accounts that you might have forgotten to close. Sometimes thieves take over these old accounts and use them to order new credit cards and checks. Fourth, limit the amount of personal information that you give out over the telephone and internet. Try to ensure that you only provide such information to reputable companies, and be sure to read their policies on confidentiality to be sure they aren't sharing your information with anyone else. If you think you've been the victim of identity theft, then you need to report it. Contact your local United States Postal Inspector. You can find the number on our website at usps.com/postal inspectors. Identity theft is the fastest growing crime in America, but it doesn't have to happen to you.
I have to admit one thing about this film. If that was us, we're waiting for the rain to stop. Standing out there in the rain, okay? So it's not completely accurate. Okay? But it is a true case that was worked by our agents. All right, and those are just some of it. We see a lot of this. How many of you have been a victim or know of a person who's been a victim of identity theft? You want to share anything about it?
Well, actually, I need to find out more about it. My own daughter is still waiting to find out about her federal income tax return because someone else used her social security number.
Operation Rapid, we call that Operation Rapid Refund. All right, this is over a $200 million problem with the IRS. All right, and I'm not here to knock any agencies, but I will have to be honest. We're our own worst enemies, no matter who we work for. It's the government. And unfortunately, with what we call Operation Rapid Refund, IRS, and how many people here know about the IRS refund fraud? Okay. We had a case in the Southern District of Illinois. How many of you know where Cairo, Illinois is, if I'm pronouncing it right? All right. Cairo? Yeah, I knew. Somebody corrected me. Okay. We had over 300 tax refund checks going to one address. Okay. So when I got down to Cairo, Illinois, and we were doing a search warrant, I'm like, I had never been there before in my life. And I'm like, there's not 300 addresses here. Okay? Now, who did not flag something to say, why are we sending 300 checks to one address? Okay, it's government agency. Okay? But those are things that we learn as government agencies that we have to improve on. But that's what they do. And it's not just here in St. Louis. I mean, this is all over the place. It originally started, the rapid refund or the IRS tax refund case actually started out of Puerto Rico. It happened to be prison gangs that were basically filing tax returns so they could get money for their family. And they were using their own family members or people in prison who had no taxes, so it was hard to track them as far as income. They were all fraudulent. It just kind of snowballed after that because it was like, wow, this is like pennies from heaven. We'll send a check to anybody, okay? But unfortunately, what ends up happening is your Social Security number is taken for somebody's tax refund, and you know it's like they get an average of about $7,500 on each of these refunds. That's a pretty good refund check. I always end up sending the check in, so I don't think I'll be a victim. Yeah, all right. But it's amazing how we as agencies, you know, can see this, and it's like, well, can't we come up with some type of database that if you have, I mean, how many people would have 6 or 7 tax refunds go to their actual house? Growing up, I come from a large family. Now, when we were all there, we may have 4 or 5 tax refunds or tax, you know, coming from one house. But that's going to be about the average or norm, you know, I mean, you're not going to have that many. So we're looking at trying to help IRS and us to come up with a way to where we can track these refund checks that go into houses. That was $53 million altogether in that case. All right, 32 people were arrested, all right, in that investigation. So that's a lot of money going to a small community in a small, you know, in Illinois, all right? A lot of money. And these people's identities were from all around the country. And we had no way of knowing, and we still don't know, because nobody has really talked to us other than confessing, how they actually obtained some of the identities. We know how some were taken, but we don't know how others were taken. Okay, and that's a lot of times our case, especially when you have a lot of victims. There was about 5,500 victims in that case. All right, and we have to notify every single one of them. So it's a lot of, it takes a lot of work for the agents to do and our, what we call analysts and stuff, but you do what you can, but that's rapid refunding is still out there. You know, they've come ways now where if you do become a victim of the tax refund case, you report it to the IRS, report it to local PD, we get reported on it. And it takes about 6 months before you can file your taxes. Okay, and then they wipe it clean because it comes back and you run your social, you know, and especially if you go to a tax preparer and they're doing your taxes for you and they say, hey, I want to file your taxes. That's how a lot of people find out about it. They'll go, you know, I went to file your taxes, but you already filed it and got a refund. And you're like, no, I didn't. But the problem is, the IRS was also given the refunds, not just in check form, but it was also prepaid credit cards or debit cards. Okay? Well, these are called green dots. How many of you have heard of green dot cards? Have you seen that at Walgreens, Walmart? Okay? And what you can do with those cards is they all have, obviously, your account number and stuff. Well, you can contact the IRS and say, hey, I've already got a green dot card. Don't funnel the money or send me the green dot card, just wire money into my green dot card that I have now. So, all of a sudden they have it, and they can go use that card. Because they're temporary cards, the information that we receive when we try to track it is not the same as the regular credit card, because you're not buying it, it's not going to average. You buy it from a certain store. So it's very lengthy. It's usually an 8-month to a year and a half before we can say this is where they use that debit card. It's very time consuming on it. Anybody else have a case that they were victim?
Mine is a little different, but mine started with seeing multiple computers on charge from MasterCard. And when I called up MasterCard, one of the ones to take care of it, you know, almost on the phone and everything, so it wasn't me. But it was only a matter of a couple days later when I got an address change in the mail notifying me that this is a confirmation that my address had been changed to MasterCard now. So it was in Arkansas. And so I jumped on that right away. Well, it turned out that they said, oh, somebody's got your identity. And so I notified the Chesterfield Police. They have a fraud division that's excellent at this. And it turned out that there was this lady who at the time was, this involved mules. So I ended up having mules all over the United States. But this one happened to be in Arkansas, and she was a lady looking for love in all the wrong places. And she was on this website with Fish in the Sea. And she was communicating with two soldiers in combat in Afghanistan. And they came across this orphanage that needed computers. They were just buying them, you know. But in the meantime, my credit card company said, cancel all my cards and don't do anything on this account until I say it's okay. But then they mailed 2 new cards, you know, down to Arkansas. Right. Because they had promised her that they'd give her cards for spending money, you know. And all she had to do is when all this material arrived at her place in Arkansas was put it in a, they'd send her the labels, FedEx labels, put it on packages, off to the next stop. they probably moved around, but it was originated in Russia. And these people were using these websites to hook these young ladies. But what really aggravated me is I had other data on it. I even looked it up on the internet. Where in Los Angeles is this other account? Because see, it got to where I couldn't get into my account. They were opening bank accounts faster than I could shut them down. And like, for example, Bank of Hawaii, Barclays, they said, well, I didn't apply for Barclays in Hawaii. And they said, well, every time I call up, they say, well, what was your last credit application? I didn't know. So they say, oh, unless you can tell. So I couldn't get through. And if you don't file very, very important, if you don't file a felony report, you have to issue a subpoena on each one of these questions. They won't give you the data. Even when I give them an address or a cell phone number, they would not help me at all, any of the companies. So the easiest way is file a felony charge. Let the police then have subpoena rights to go chase this down. That's what I learned.
Yeah. Well, you're right. I mean, in order to get that information from the banks, from AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, this technology is wonderful, but it helps us out too. I mean, in the years past, in my over 30 years of experience in law enforcement, I can remember when we had to do things the old-fashioned way. I remember when I first got into the police department, I would call in a license plate, and they had a big book from DOR, and they'd go, and you wait and wait and wait and wait, and then finally give you the stuff. Now it's like instantaneous. Now you get the computer in the car and you do it yourself. You know, I mean, so it's great, but unfortunately technology also works on the bad side. And we get a lot of, I have one person on the task force on each side that their main responsibility is subpoenas, because everybody wants a subpoena. So we're sending out subpoenas all day long, just like you said. We want people, some of the things we want you to do is obviously we want you to contact your local PD if you become a victim and make a police report with them. All right? Even though the crime, you're the victim here and the crime may have been somewhere else, all right, they're obligated under the new laws that have been passed like in 2001, 2002 because of this epidemic that they're required to take a police report. And a lot of times your credit cards or bank accounts and stuff, they want you to have a credit or a police report so that way they'll make you whole again. But does anybody know what the average time is before you're whole as far as being a victim?
Months and months.
It's an average of 2 years.
A year.
Okay? Average of 2 years. And you know what a victim is basically responsible for as far as how much it costs them between faxing stuff, signing papers, sending papers, forms, you know. You have to do affidavits, forgeries, and they consider their time and money. It's an average of about $2,500 per victim is what they spend out of pocket because of being a victim. Okay?
So Experian and TransUnion and these people do come through with free coverage for 7 years, you know.
They do. But that's mandated by law. One of the things that you're able to do, and I mean, how many of you know that you can get a free credit report once a year?
Yeah.
All right. If you become a victim and you contact, it used to be in, you know, before all the new laws, you would have to contact Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion yourself and tell them I'm a victim of fraud, and they would flag your account. Now you just need to contact one of them, okay? Try and streamline it a little bit, and they communicate to each other that you're a victim of fraud and they red flag your account. Now you know how long that red flag stays on your account?
7 years, I was told.
Now 6 months, and you have to renew it. Unless there's certain circumstances, then they can put it on more. Okay? So it's a 6-month process. Okay? One of the things that they passed too, and how many of you have received a phone call or maybe a text from your bank saying, you know, are you in Philadelphia using a credit card? Okay? That's one of the laws that were passed because of the identity theft issues. All right? It happened to me. I went to go to use my debit card at a restaurant, and they declined it. I'm like, I just got paid, and it's government money, so I know it's in the bank. You know, but no, it was, somebody had got my account number, and they were trying to buy gas in Houston, Texas, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at the same time. So they said, call your bank, you know. Well, they're still out there. I had to cancel that account, you know, but it was like, and they test it, and the way you find out if they're testing your accounts is they do very small amounts. They may go to a gas pump and they'll do $1 or $2 just to see if it runs through. If it goes through, then it's like pennies from heaven, I'm going to Walmart, I'm going wherever I can. A lot of times they're buying the iPads, they're buying computers, they're buying high-end electronics. And a lot of times it's like what you're saying, they're shipping them out. Okay?
They did run the dollar check all over the place.
Mm-hmm. And that's the way you cut. How many of you go over your bills each month? And we tell this to the younger people too. I mean, I can't believe I have 2 daughters, okay, and I have 2 kids from stepkids. And I look at their bank accounts and I'm going, don't you keep a check on your bank accounts? They go, well, we don't need to. They say we have money in the account. They don't keep a register like, you know, we were taught in school. All right, and it's like, I get my credit card statements, you know, I'm married, I have all 35 credit card statements for last year, and I go through them each month, okay? And it's like, but you see what's on there, correct? You want to see where the money's being spent, and you want to make, and the one thing you're looking for is making sure that your significant other is not spending money where they shouldn't be, but you're also looking to see that your account's being used the way it's supposed to be, okay? Nobody else can access your account. That's why I look for it, all right? But there's a lot of things in there that, as far as preventive measures, you know, to look at. Now, when you were watching this film, okay, it's based on a true case, how many of you think about where your information is on a daily basis? Mm-hmm. And how many people do you have to trust with your information? A lot. It's almost scary if you think about it, right? I mean, you go to the doctor's office, who do you have to trust with your information? You got your receptionist, you got the nurse, you got the doctor, you got the pharmacy maybe, okay? You've got all kinds of people you have to trust. You go to the bank, you've got the teller, you got anybody that can have access to your bank, okay? Whether you make the deposits or you're paying a credit card bill, it goes to another bank, right? I mean, if you think about all the people that look at your information, that's astonishing. And then you go, well, I got to trust all these people. Okay, and I can tell you from experience, not everybody's like this, where they go to a bank or they go to a clearinghouse where they have information, they sell it for just quite a few. If you think about it, okay, it's like, if I'm a bad guy and I say go in and I'm offering money to a bank teller to get people's information, I say I'll give you $1,000 if you give me some. Okay, that's a pretty good income, right? I can entice her with money. I'll make that money up in 15 minutes, okay? I mean, it's not uncommon for these groups and gangs to go out there, and I'll give you an example of one, we call them the Operation Colony Lane Gang. How many of you leave your purses or wallets in your cars when you go into a store or go to the gym or something? Or you bring in your wallet to the gym and you put it in your locker? Okay? There's a lot of groups out there, and I'm not trying to scare you, but it's real, and it happens, and you see it in the paper, okay? But people are out there watching the parking lots, and they're getting paid to watch the parking lots. And when you get out of your car, they're walking by to see what you left in that car. And if there's a person there, they'll break your window to get it. And if you have credit cards in there, they're going shopping right away. Okay? And they'll use it till they say they can't use it anymore. And it's not uncommon when we arrest people where they have a ton of credit cards on them. And I'm not talking 5 or 10. All right? They could have 100 credit cards on them. Easily. And when we get to their hotel room, we're uncovering, I can't tell you, an ungodly amount of merchandise. I mean, it's like Christmas for us, because it's like, wow, what's in that package? I mean, we had one where we did, not that long ago, a month or two ago, $75,000 worth of merchandise out of a Red Roof Inn. Okay? It's amazing what they put in there. All right? 300 credit cards in the backseat of a pickup truck that were all cloned and counterfeit. And basically, these were from just going out and snatching the purses. We had one case where, again, it's real. There's a hotel there at 5th Street and 70 in St. Charles area. Okay? On the top floor, they had a high-powered resolution camcorder, okay, and a scope on it. They put, I mean, how many of you know what a skimming device is? Okay, basically a skimming device is something you put over where you put your ATM card or debit card in, or credit card to use, like at the bank or the gas station, and then you put in your PIN number if you use it. Well, they put the skimming device on a gas station pump, and they had the camera focused right on that PIN number. So when people used it, they were automatically, when she put that card in there, it's like a thumb drive. It captures that information, And while it's doing that, I'm recording your PIN number if you put it in. Okay? Then later on, when I go to remove that device, I can have thousands of credit card numbers. But what do I have with it? The PIN numbers I can associate it with. All right? These are Algiers. People from Algiers. These are not just people. That's what they do. Okay? They're part of the criminal element, and that's where they go out, and that's what they're doing. Okay, so it's important that we look at our statements every month to make sure that what we charge is what we charge, and it's not from somebody else. Okay. Yes?
Do we compromise things by going online into our credit cards and viewing our statements online if we have a virus and all that kind of stuff?
No, not necessarily. I mean, if you go online, I buy things online. Okay, I think we all do.
Talking about buying.
But you look at your credit card statement?
Looking at credit card statements.
No, I think you're okay, especially if it's a secure site. And if you have Wi-Fi at home, is your Wi-Fi secured at home? Then I would say you're pretty safe to do so. Okay? But again, it's like this. Yeah, how many of you have, we all have Wi-Fi at home, right? Okay, you don't? Do you have any computers at home?
Yes.
Okay, and do you have like the old dial-up, or what do you have?
No, it's
Charter?
charter.
Okay. Okay, but you don't have the Wi-Fi? No. Okay. If you have Wi-Fi, you need if you don't have it blocked, you need it blocked. All right, and when they first came out with Wi-Fi a few years ago, where people were buying their routers and it was getting more and more commonplace, a lot of people did not have the security code on it. So people, it was easy for people to drive around the neighborhood, and we did it too, because we were looking for search warrants and stuff, to test an area to see who doesn't have their Wi-Fi secured. Because if you go on your computer and you hit Wi-Fi, what's it show you? It shows you all the Wi-Fi in your area that it can reach, and it shows you whether it's locked or not. Well, that's what they're doing. And one of the things that they were doing is, by doing that, they have what they call an IP address, right? The Internet Protocol, okay? Or the ISP, the service provider. So I can go around, if I was a bad guy and you don't have your Wi-Fi secured, and I can get onto your Wi-Fi, I can do stuff in front of your house. You may not even know about it, but if I go looking and I say, well, where's the IP address, and it shows your house, I'm coming to you going, what do you know about this? You know, so we test it because we want to make sure that whoever is the victim is a victim. Okay, suspect. Yeah.
In Europe, when you go out to dinner, they bring the credit card machine to you. And in the States, we give it to our waiter and trust them to take our credit card and not do anything with it. How many times does identity theft happen or credit card fraud from restaurants?
That's a good one.
Boy, that's a loaded question. There's some restaurants I like to go to that I won't go to anymore. You know, again, it's one of those deals where it happens quite a bit, okay? And not saying restaurants and stuff, but it's not uncommon, and we have found it, not in every restaurant, obviously, but there have been some restaurants in the area where the waiters or waitresses, or even the owners, where they have skimming devices on them. And the skimming devices are real small. I can carry it, it's no bigger than this mic here. And I can put it right here in my pocket, I can put it anywhere. And all I gotta do is swipe it, bring you the bill, and I have it 2 copies. Okay? So again, it's hard to say how many, okay? And I wouldn't want to say which restaurants they have been, because they put, you know, safe protocols in some of the restaurants that we have dealt with. But it's no different than anywhere you go, a gas station or an ATM, okay? One thing that you can look for, if you're looking for something, if you look at the ATMs at the banks, what do you see around where you put your debit card or credit card in?
You just see it.
Well, that, or you see, what do you see, lights? Okay, you see like little green lights, or some may be yellow, some are green. What you want to look for is if it's little green lights that go all the way around, okay? If there's a skimming device placed on top of it, typically, and probably 90% of the time, one of those lights will be a different color, okay? So that's something to look for. It doesn't mean that there is one on there, but that's kind of what you look for, because it could be a light going out or something. But the little LED lights, and when you put the skimming device on top of it, they have to have something to secure it inside of it. So a lot of times it changes one of those lights and changes to a different color. So on a safe note, whether it is or not, you could tell, and your bank will tell you the same thing. Okay, so you could say, well, I'll use a different down, and I'll move on, okay, and go somewhere else to do it, so that to be safe. Or, you know, you let your bank know, hey, I think something's wrong with your machine. But skimming is been around forever.
Tom, can you talk about some growing trends in IT that maybe already protect themselves from that?
Yeah, some of the trends we have, and one of them was kind of like what you were talking about, it's called a reshipping scheme. Okay? People work from home and they say, hey, we're going to send you, we want you to work from home and you can make X amount of dollars. Well, what they're doing is when you sign up, they say, we're going to send you a check. It's usually a counterfeit check, and it may be for $2,500. We want you to deposit it, and we want you to keep $500 for yourself, and we want you to wire transfer $2,000 to us, or take that $2,000, go out, and we want you to buy 5 iPads. We're going to send you an email with a shipping label, okay, whether it's from UPS, FedEx, or Postal Service. Attach that to your box and ship it, okay? And then we're going to send you some more money, and you can make as much as you want to ship. All right? So people do it because if they're out of work, the economy's low, they're trying to make extra money, they think it's good. But what ends up happening is they end up eating everything. And sometimes they can become a suspect. All right? And unfortunately, depending on the law enforcement agency, if they're aware of it, they may go out and actually arrest somebody for it. Because it is fraud. And you are cashing counterfeit checks. Okay? But they want to find out where it's going to. We see that. The other one we see, we call it a grandma and grandpa scheme. You get a phone call either late at night, maybe early in the morning, and you'll get a call, and it's like an urgent call. How you doing? I'm Officer so-and-so, okay? Officer Smith. And we have your grandson in custody. And you're going, okay. And it's like, what's he in custody for? Well, I'm in Michigan. All right, he was up here visiting. It's nothing major, but we need $2,000 bond money. Well, you know, it's either late, you're sleepy. Okay. Here, hold on, I'll let you talk to my sergeant. The guy gets on the phone. Hey, I'm Sergeant Smith. You know, we like your grandson wants to get out. Well, can I talk to him? Well, as soon as we get the money, we're going to let him out. And he's going to call you. Okay, but he's in the jail cell. He's not allowed to talk to anybody.
Really?
They say, okay, well, I'll take. What do we take? Well, we'll take a check over the phone, or we'll take your credit card, whatever is good. Okay, well, let me get him out. They get the money, and then you're done. Okay, you lost your $2,000, but now you just gave them their account number, and then you go. For me, I'd be going, I don't even have a grandson. Or it's like, why? You know, the questions aren't there where you ask. Like you go, well, okay, what's he doing in Michigan? Well, let me call his mom and dad. Why are you calling me? You know? I mean, they don't like that. But it's like anything else. If we're into sales, what's the amount of thing that we're doing? It's no different than the old days where you had the Nigerian letters, right? Right? Everybody would get a Nigerian letter, and they ship them out thousands at a time, hoping that maybe 2 or 3 people would answer. You know, you're working off the percentages, and it's the same thing. That's exactly what they're doing. They're trying their con men, they're salespeople. They're going, hey, well, not that they're. Rephrase that a little bit for you guys. Sales is good, but what I'm saying is they're hitting the numbers. They keep track. When you walk into like a telemarketing scheme, the fraud type schemes, you walk into these groups, it's a business to them. Okay, and they're working on percentages. So the more people that I can reach, the more fraud I can commit. Okay, and that's the numbers, and that's why they do these schemes, because it doesn't matter, even though it sounds silly, it's what they do, and it's very beneficial to them. When we follow these groups through towns and stuff, it's not uncommon where they can make $10,000 to $15,000 a day and not really work hard. Okay, it's a chance they're taking. You do that for a month or two, you made a lot of money. We have $1 million homes that were seized in other states because of the fraud money. That's all it is fraud money.
I have a question along this ways back here with the European credit cards. Why hasn't the United States credit responded with a chip in all the cards? I mean, you can't even use your card without a chip in Canada. You know,
well, actually, the credit card industry and the banking industry has that technology, and they're putting it into place.
Oh, why are they taking so long? I mean, this is years.
I wish I could answer that, but I'm not the bank. I'm the credit card company. You know what? We would like to keep everything as safe as possible, and we want everybody to be safe out there. And that's the thing that a lot of times I don't know if you know it, like on the PIN numbers. You didn't have PIN numbers for a long time. That came from law enforcement agencies getting together with the credit card industry to say, hey, let's add this feature to it to make it a little bit more safer.
I would recommend everybody through and get the chip in their cards, because I call MasterCard after I had this, the other cards, American Express, and all of them, they keep sending me the ones with no chip. I just called them up and said, hey, I want a card with a chip in it. They said, okay. You know, all you have to do is ask.
Bob, I know this is my sign to keep quiet.
We got time for one more question.
Here's one's got me puzzled. I get a call from the credit card company saying, are you in Canada? I said, no. Get a call from another, different card. Are you in Texas? No. So I started calling my other credit cards, talking to the fraud department. And I asked them this question, because they got 3 of them. But only one was in my wallet. The other 2 were at home. So how did they get all 3 of those numbers? I asked the fraud department who said that, and I said, the place I can think of that has all 3 of those numbers are like the credit rating agencies.
It's hard to say without
They
looking.
didn't seem to be interested in pursuing it. I called the Chesterfield police, they weren't interested. He said, report it. They didn't even write it down. They sent a guy to my house, but he didn't even write anything.
Write it down.
Did everybody get a question? So the question was, credit card numbers were stolen, only one of them was on me. The other ones were, how did they acquire the numbers without actually having the funds? Good question.
Without working the case, it's hard to say. But I will tell you this. As far as preventative, real quick, before we get moved out, okay, is look at your statements each month. I know we talked about that, all right? If you're on a website and you want to buy something and you're the one initiating the purchase, you're probably safe, all right? If you make the phone call to a company to buy something, you're initiating it. Anything that you initiate, you're probably safe, okay? If somebody calls you and you did not initiate anything, hang up, okay? I mean, it's like, with our houses. I mean, even it's like growing up. How many times did we leave our front doors open and didn't worry about it? Okay? Now you take preventive measures. Lock the doors, you're locking windows, some people have burglar alarms. And all we're doing is we're making sure that our surroundings, we have it, make it difficult for somebody to cause us to be a victim. Okay? It's the same thing with identity theft or any type of these frauds. The more walls you put up, the harder for them to come through. If they can't break into your house in 30 seconds or less, they're not going to. They're going to move on. If they can't get to your name, okay, easily, they're going to move on. And it's the best analogy that I can think of because you control your name. Unfortunately, your name's out there. My name's out there, everywhere. Okay? And it's even worse as far as our kids because social media. Everybody knows everybody. And it's not hard just to get onto the computer and find out as much information in a short period of time about anybody and stuff. So. Well, you're asking a law enforcement guy that. His question is LifeLock worth it? All right, now, my opinion, I can do that by myself without having to pay somebody. And again, it's your kind of whether or not you like it. I don't subscribe to it. The only reason I don't is because I'm like, I can do the same thing and I'm maybe a little bit cheaper than some and I don't want to spend the money for it on a monthly basis. Keep in mind though, they're there to provide a service. All right? And you don't hear people from LifeLock or other types of companies like that who are being arrested for divulging information and stuff. If you feel safe doing so, and if you feel comfortable in hiring them to protect your information and to call you, by all means do so if you think it's going to make you comfortable. Okay? But I can do the same thing and not spend it. Okay? You get your credit report once a year for free. Okay? You look at that. You look at your monthly statement. You look at where you go. Okay? And if you have to give a copy, and the example I'll give you is used to when you test drive a car, what's the first thing you gave them? Your driver's license. And what do they do with that driver's license? They made a copy of it. Okay? So even if you go to a dealership and you're in that market to buy a car, okay, it's like hey, you can make a copy, or, you know, I don't want you making a copy, you're gonna give me the copy back, okay, or something. I mean, that doesn't mean that they can't make 2 or 3 copies, but it does put them on notice that, hey, I'm looking at you, and if something comes up, I'll be back here, okay? So it's your level of comfort to do so, okay?
Very good. Well, hey, since we want to always promise to stay right on time, Tom, do you have a few minutes afterwards?
Yeah.
Questions?
And one thing I'll do, and I'll get with them is, you know, this is a topic that a lot of people are interested in, and I mean, we could talk about this 4 or 5 hours. There's so many scams out there, so many schemes, and there's so many different ways of prevention methods as well, okay? But if you send out another email, you got my business card, feel free to give out my cell phone numbers, my email address. I'll answer them at some time. I mean, I try to answer every phone call within a 72-hour period, okay, because I do travel quite a bit with my job, and I do work on the streets. I don't just sit behind the desk sometimes, so. But I will try to get back to you, so if you do have a question, feel free to call me, okay? Text me, whatever you want to do.
Tom, this was very helpful. Thank you very much. One of our other partners in the back room, he had asked the question about LifeLock. I forgot to acknowledge you at the beginning of the day. I owe you lunch tomorrow. While we're talking about ID theft, obviously, for those of you that are clients in the room, the majority of you are clients, you obviously know that we do have a lot of your personal information. For the vast majority of you, we help you with your entire life savings. So we realize how important we are in your lives. We don't take that lightly. We even go so far as to do complete background checks. We ask about bankruptcies between our staff and any partners we bring on, and every single person who works for our firm is completely fingerprinted as well. In fact, Joe Studdard, our full-time in-house IT person in the back, who I was going to call up if I had video problems, helped us to even upgrade our server systems and computer systems this year to be even safer than they were in years past. So we continue to keep up with the changing times, and we understand how important this is. The one story I'll leave you with today is about ID theft, and this is something that us as your financial planners and advisors face all the time. A couple years ago, I had a client, a good client of mine, been with me for years, emailed me and said, Travis, hope you're doing well. Brought up a couple things about a trip I had just taken. I love cruises, so she was asking me about the cruise that I just took with my wife. And then she goes on in the email to say, you know, there was a flood in my house, the ice machine was leaking everywhere. I had to evacuate while the insurance company works on it, but I need some money. Since I'm not in the house, can you have some forms sent to this address so that I can get a distribution out of my IRA? And she named the investment firm that the IRA was with. At the bottom she said, P.S. I hope Marina is doing well. Marina is my wife. Well, there were a couple of words misspelled in this email. And guess what this person did before she retired? She was an editor. I used a little common sense like we always train all of our staff to do, and I called her and said, Elizabeth, did you just send me an email and did something happen to your house? No. That wasn't Elizabeth, but she said, my email address just got hacked. How in the world did you just find it out? I just found out 5 minutes ago. So the biggest thing is, and I think Tom echoed this the entire night, watch yourself, look at the records, and use common sense. And that's what we instill in every single person that works at our firm, because we really understand this and we protect it in every way that we can. So thank you all very much. Make sure to come to the next event that Kevin talked about, and safe travels home tonight. Thank you.